This is the hottest station in the nation. Proudly ZFM Stereo. The platform with Ruvenico on ZFM Stereo.
Good evening and welcome to the platform. I'm Ruvenico and I enjoy bringing you this program Mondays and Wednesday evening. Tonight we are discussing early child marriage. Now we do not necessarily want to get into the intricacies of too much, but we want to get to the solutions of the problem, right? We've all established that it is an issue. There were days we'd do this program and still be, assessing whether it's a big issue or not. But the thing is, it's not just an issue in Zimbabwe, it's a global issue. So it's not anything to do with our government, anything to do with the Zimbabwe. It seems to be a global thing, and we want to, address it and see what we can do to help this situation, mitigate it, because it's growing and it isn't stopping. So, to discuss this tonight, we have personalities that you might know on different platforms, different forums, but they're here tonight, and we're going to be hearing from them from a human perspective, face to face, down on the ground, and hearing what their thoughts are, particularly on the solutions to this problem. Let me introduce who we have in studio tonight. I'll start with my left. We have Mrs. Patricia Mabviko. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us tonight.
Now, she's the lady who put all of this together in the sense that she, has a passion for what's happening and wants to find ways together with community leaders, society leaders, public figures, and find a way to mitigate this problem. And she's sitting next to, you just heard his song just now, Mr. Alexio Kawara. Welcome to ZFM.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's good to always see you here. And then on his left, we have Mai Charamba. Thank you very much for joining us. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I'm literally sitting in here tonight and I'm starstruck. It's amazing. And then last but not least, we have Mrs. Patricia Chiangwa, who's representing Childline tonight. Patience Chiangwa, who's representing Childline. How are you?
Well, I'm more starstruck than you because suddenly I'm a personality.
You are, especially for tonight. Take it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I've been told many times to have you on our program, and it's good to finally have you here. So I hope this won't be the last time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sure.
All right. So early child marriage is our topic tonight. We want to hear from you as well. 0772-168-045. If you're also starstruck like us, please try and keep it tidy so we can focus on the issue that we're actually discussing and try and forget that we have these stars in the studio tonight. So 772-168-045. WhatsApp us, call us, and of course continue to contribute on our social media, ZFM Stereo on Facebook and on Twitter. Now, the first question I'd like to ask to all of you tonight is, what has brought you all together to come into the studio at ZFM to discuss this topic? Where's the common thread?
Thanks, Ruvenico. Now, what has brought us together is this passion and desire to try and deal with gender-based violence in our communities in Zimbabwe. And we are coming under the organization World Education Incorporated Bantwana, and working with 9 partners, and Childline is one of the partners, which is why Patience is here. Mm-hmm. We are, like you mentioned in the introduction, we're concerned about early child marriages because we'd like young people to be able to get the opportunity to go to school, learn, and have a great future. So when we see young people getting married early, we get worried. Mm-hmm. We're concerned about the increasing levels of sexual abuse amongst children. That is worrying us because we're wondering what is going on in our community. Who is not playing their part? So we're here to talk about that. We're also concerned about issues like, for example, women. There's statistics saying that, for example, 40% of women view gender-based violence, and here I'm talking about domestic violence, as acceptable. And we know it is not acceptable. So those kind of issues, we're passionate about those issues. And through World Education Incorporated Bantwana, we're running a campaign on gender-based violence. We've got ambassadors who are sitting here with me, Alexio, Mai Charamba, and Cynthia Mare, who should be joining us shortly. And we'd like them as, like you said earlier on, human beings to be able to help us address these issues, to reach out to the following, who are basic human beings who live in Zimbabwe, to say, guys, this is not right, and this is the way that we must live, and for all of us together to try and fight this problem. So this is why we're here with you this evening.
Fantastic. I love that. What I would like to know from our other panelists is, what is your definition of early child marriage? I know that Patricia, Patience, you're going to give us the technical definition, but I'd like to hear from Mai Charamba, right? As a mother, as a woman, as a Zimbabwean woman, in Pamnuti, early child marriage, Pamnuti, young is too young. What age would you say is too young?
Mai Charamba. Dambudziko rinoitika kwatiri nokuti kurodza vana vachiri pasi pemakore avanonzi 18 kana kuti 16. Dzimwe nguva zviri kuitika ndezvokuti vana mai ngatibatsiranei, tine mhosva ipapo, nokuti kuregera mwana achienda haasati akura, mwana arikuda kukura, ane zvaanoda kuzoaccomplishha, zvaada kuachievha mukukura kwake. Saka isusu tikati mwana aroorwe nokuti nokuda kweeconomic environment yatiri, dzimwe nguva vabereki tikuda mari, saka dzimwe nguva toti mwana ngaaroorwe, tashaya mari yekuendesa kuchikoro, saka ngaachiroorwa. Izvozvo zviri kukanganisa mwana, kumurooresa mwana ari age yoyo, kumupinza mune rimwe dambudziko, hamusi kumukoshesawo mwana eye. Dzimwe nguva ane zvaanga achida kuzoita wakura, right? Tashaya hedu mari yekuendesa kuchikoro, but hazvirevi kuti ngaachibva achiroorwa achiri that age. It's kumukusa kuremekedzawo marights ake mwana. Mwana ane marights ake ekuti anofanira kukura. Saka ngatishandei semadzimai tikwanise kuzviriritira kuti vana vedu, dzimwe nguva zvimwe zvinoitika zvokuti mwana anogona kunzi nokuti anonoka kuyakumba achienda kwawabva ikoko. Izvozvo ngatione kuti zviri kubatsira mwana here, kwari kuenda kwachina ikoko muri kukuziya here twakaita sei. Dzimwe nguva makutokanganisa mwana, ndopa munozoona mwana anozokomita even suicide nokuti adzingwa kumba pamwe hapana chaangaita, angononoka kubva kumba. But ngatiti vana vavo mwana achinge anonoka kubva kwaanenge abva, ngatione nguva yekutaura naye tinzwe kuti chii, pane kuti ngaende anoroorwa.
Muri ipapo Mai Charamba, ndoda kubvunza kuti ko mwana anoti ndiri kuda kuroorwa ari mwana mudiki, ipapo toita sei? Uyo arikuda kudzidziswa, arikuda kuti amai, izvi zvinoitika kuti amai ngatigare takakoshesa communication yatinoita nevana vedu, tigadzire ukama nevana vedu, especially vana vechisikana kana nevechikomana, kuti azive kuti ane value, uye kuti munhu akakosha, uye kuti anofanira kukura oita zvinhu netime yake inenge yakakwanira kuti maringe neage yaanenge ari. Kana ari nguva yekuenda kuchikoro, azive kuti chikoro chakamukoshera ndayei, azive kuti kuzoroorwa dzimwe nguva chizodhipenda nevanhu zvinokuta kuti uye more vulnerable kumaabuses anoitika. Saka anofanira kudzidzira kuzviriritira mwana musikana, kuzati kana ndakura ndofanira kuzvishandira, ndofanira kuita zvakati, kuitira kuti ndisazova a burden to people, uye kuti vanhu vasatora advantage yezvandinenge ndiri. You keep repeating the factor kuti mwana ngaazive kuti arayirwe, handiti apedze chikoro akwanise kuzvirongera upenyu hwake. Saka kwamuri muri kuti early child marriage is when a child is still in school, as long as mwana ane 18 it's okay?
Kana angaziva izvo pamutemo zviri kutenderwa naye kuti 18 anogona kuroorwa, asi ngati-encourage vana kuti vaite zvinhu zvinovabatsirawo muupenyu hwavo, vabvise that economic dependent syndrome. Let's try and encourage them kuti no, it's not good. Tivaudze kuti this is how it is. Pane vanhu vanoti takabva kumunga hakuna ipo, handiti. Saka susu sevakuru zvatinenge tichitaura zvinhu zvatinenge taziva kuti no, this is what happens kana usina zvaunogona kuitawo semudzimai, and this is what is happening zviri kuitika muupenyu. You need kuti une something chaunoita semwana musikana.
All right, let me come to Patience here, Chiangwa. We are discussing this on a level where she's speaking as a Zimbabwean woman from what she's seen, but from the work that you do, give us a more official, solid standpoint to say what age is a no-no for a child to get married, and going forward, you know, the work that you've done, what have you seen has been the major cause of most children entering marriage underage?
Thank you, Ruveneko. 16 is what is currently in the legislation, which is yet to be amended, because we now have a Bill of Rights that stipulates that's aligning all the laws that have different age ranges for all sorts of criteria. So now it's going to be 18. And I remember clearly the Minister of Justice and Parliamentary Affairs stating that while alignment has not occurred, when it comes to a case-by-case basis, the Bill of Rights will take priority. And as a case is seen, it is 18 years of age. And from the perspective of our work, wow, there are so many facets of early marriage. For us, we actually do not even want to call it early marriage because I think we're glorifying it. For us, it is rape. Period.
Wow.
Because I can't have, I'm a mother too.
But calling it rape is making it seem like it's just about sex. Because early child marriage, when somebody is a wife, she's not just providing conjugal rights, so to speak. She's a wife, providing wifely duties.
That is the critical part.
So when we say rape, is that not putting it into one class?
It is not. Because basically, according to our work and what the reality, it's sex is marriage and no sex before marriage. So, and usually it's used, sex is being used, like if a child is raped, they are then trying to cover up a case by calling it a marriage. I will give you examples of cases that will come as sexual abuse. They will be reported. And what happens in the end? You go back and the families are saying, oh, we're okay now. Tanem kwasha. And we're like, manem kwasha. And what happens is it's convenience. They're doing it for a certain period of time. 6 months, not even 6 months, even maybe 2 months down the lane, the family will come back and say, Childline, it didn't work that way. It was just a token to pay off and cover up for the crime. So as Childline, we are saying that children are being sexually abused, and then early marriage, as you call it, then glorifies the crime. So it is not acceptable to even term it early marriage, and children should not be in any marriage whatsoever. I mean, girls and women are already vulnerable in the sense that we don't have our socioeconomic rights, as she said. And then when you find a child being compromised at an early age, it is really not acceptable. And gender-based violence really is the main cause of 75% of cases of child abuse, with sexual abuse taking the lead.
I'm very fascinated by the position that Mai Charamba and Ms. Chiongwa you're taking here, because you seem to be blaming the parents and the guardians and the custodians, saying we should protect our children, we shouldn't allow it. I'd like to come to Alexio here and find out your viewpoint, and hopefully, you'll provide maybe a different angle, different way to look at it. I
would definitely agree with everybody else, but I think this whole situation or problem, lack of respect for ourselves as men, because I think as men we have this responsibility of what we're supposed to be taking care of children and our wives, and not just financially, So I think as men we're failing to respect ourselves, and we're failing to respect the responsibilities that we have, which is to take care of our daughters especially, and our wives, or our women rather. And I think as men, pane point joti, we work so hard for the boy child, but then we're thinking we shouldn't do the same. So my role here is actually to just speak to the men and tell them, we need to respect our women, because it's the same. She's going to become a mother someday. The way that we just respect our mothers, how it is men, how to say, respect us. But the mothers, they were girls at some point. And if they were not respected like that, they wouldn't be mothers, maybe. They were going to be irresponsible.
Right.
So, that's my viewpoint, I guess.
How about the fathers? We know we're not Mushamkadzi, and we're putting emphasis on Madzimai.
Yeah.
But where are the fathers in all of this? Because you talk of self-respect and all of that. For a girl, a lot of my self-respect I learned through my father, with the way he treated my mother, with the way he treated me.
That's true.
So can we place the father figure in this equation and understand the role that he plays as a man for a woman to know how she should be treated?
Definitely. I think the father figure is like we are perpetrators, like in this whole equation we are being perpetrators. So if tikada kunadzofungisiza, we should really take that task, like you're saying, you've learned a lot from your father, and I think I would like to be like that as a man to my children, especially to my daughter, because I know and I understand that it's natural that a daughter will be more closer, or she's closer to her father than to the mother. So I think that alone should just be one thing to respect our children. If she's close to me, then I should really live up to the expectations of being a good father.
All right, we've got some comments coming in here. There's an interesting point where we're at now, because ultimately we want to look at the solution. But all right, Tati, early child marriage is there. We don't condone it on any level, which is what seems to be what the panel is saying here. Now we want to find the solution to this. Some comments coming in. Tawanda says, patience is mixing law and religion. Sex before marriage is religion. The law stipulates that a 16-year-old can consent to sex. So early childhood marriage is not rape. So please, we must not confuse the two.
Okay, thank you very much. As I have mentioned, that is current legislation, but we have a new Bill of Rights that is overriding that. And I hope you also realize that a Bill of Rights is the supreme law of the land. So as it is, yes, it's stated, but the Bill of Rights says that we have to align all, ages to 18 for anything to do with children. And yes, I admit that it's religious, but again, isn't it time that we looked at the cancer? Because also there's a lot of harmful cultural practices, including religion, that is coming into play. We have certain religious sectors that are really giving early marriages, they're glorifying them. And as organizations that are dealing with child protection issues, we are on a daily basis dealing with cases like that. I appreciate that he's stating that, but unfortunately, religion can also have harmful practices as much as our own culture.
All right. I think that answers that, because that could spawn into a completely separate debate around the religion and culture and the Bill of Rights and where we should align, So let's come to this comment here. This is Munini in Mashingo. Ruveneko, these ladies must understand that marrying a 16-year-old is statutory rape, a piece of legislation which contradicts the National Constitution of Zimbabwe. Amendment number 20 of 2013 is invalid to the extent of its inconsistency. It's null and void. They must be guided accordingly. Right? I think that's pretty, that's simple and straightforward. Now, what I want to say as we're closing off here now is marriage. Okay, marriage, when we look at marriage and all of that, I keep referring to the issue of some children wanting to get into marriage. And yes, and if your daughter comes to you at 17 and says, I want to get married, you're supposed to steer them in a different direction. But I had two young people in the studio last week, and we were discussing the same topic. And the one was with child, 17 years old. Her husband was there as well in the studio. He's 21 or 22. And they're happily married. So her situation was that she did what you explained, Mai Charamba, kuti akanonoka kuvuya kumba, akatodzingwa pamba, akanorara kumba kwemkomana, pakarara akavaita numbu. And then she, went back home eventually, but by then it was almost too late. The damage had been done. And now, when, after telling her family that she was expecting, akavatonzi chienda kumrume. So now this little girl, the mother had decided to say, okay, let's make this a court case. Let's make it a criminal case because you're young and this boy took advantage of you. She lied because at the time she was underage. And so she lied at the police station to say, I'm over 17, I'm over 16, just because she loved her boyfriend. So I keep coming back to this issue of we might be trying to fight and save these young children, but mangwachi vanotozvita vanhu vakura. Ndikamubvunza akagara apa kuti kochikoro zvikanzi ndakagumira paform 3. For now I want to be a wife and a mother, and I might go back when I'm ready.
I think zvinzi vasingazivi ngavadzidziswe. Vana vedu tofanira kuvatangira at a very early stage. Tikada kuzotanga kuvadzidzisa zvinhu izvi vati kurei. zvinonetsa kuti azozvibata. Saka mwana achiri mudiki patikuti amai vakakosha ndimi mune nyaya yese maoko enyu. Mwana achiri mudiki ngaabva atanga tinoti kana mwana wangu unofanira kuzochata, unofanira kusata chakati, mwana wangu iwe uri mwana waMwari, white wedding. If you speak those words kune mwana wako uchimuencourage kuti no izvi zvichaya nguva yakati, uchitanga achiri mwana mudiki. And then muchita communication pandataura kuti you have to build that relationship between you and your daughter. Relationship yo yakakosha because mwana anogona kurespecta uye anodzidza nekuona imi baba namai mumba. Saka zvatinoita isusu baba namai mumba zviri kudzidzisa kuti mwana more than what we are saying. Saka mwana kuti unomudzati saka if you want a relationship yakafanana yangu nababa wako, isusu takatanga taita zvakati, tikashanda, tikaita mabasa edu, takazoonana zvakadai. Manje and you can even give examples. Wona ningi, I'm sure tine my extended families. Tine vanhu kuti vakapinda mune zvinhu zvakadai zvokuti munhu akakurumidza kunoroorwa kana akaroorwa zvisirizvo womuti una zvakaita munenge wakoyo ukona zvakaita upenyu hwawo. Do you want to have that kind of a life? You must learn from that. That is not a good life yaakaita because akamhanya zvinhu haana kuda kudzidza, haana kuda kupedza chikoro. Saka ngativape zvinhu zvatinoona, ngativashandise maexamples evanhu vari close to us, and I know that every family has those examples. We should give them as examples zvokuti vana vedu vadzidze.
And you know, some children will be so cheeky to the point and say, but imimi makandita mune makore mangani. Madakupa my examples, marairanditi. And as a mother, we know that the older generation, they had children at 16 and it was okay. Now it's a problem because we're pushing the agenda of education. So some children look at their mother and say, Kwemi,
zvinhu zvachinja, things have changed. Culture is also dynamic. Zvinhu zviri kungochinja. Zvinhu zvaitwa kudhara zvaitendero, izvo zvangachiramo zvekunorodza vana vachiri vadiki nokuti kana kugara naka nokuti zvaiitika those days zvanga zvine maboundaries. Right now hazvichashanda nokuda kuchinja kwaita zvinhu. Mwana anoda kunzwa kuti yes takazviita but zvine ma-consequences asina kunaka.
I'm going to throw something out there, and I'm hoping that, I just want to hear your thoughts on this. Turguti, we want to stop the rate of early child marriage globally. What if we looked at solutions to the problem in the sense that we look at our education structure and say, let's encourage more schools and more institutions to allow girls who are pregnant to continue with their education, to allow girls who are married to continue with their education? Because right now it seems when a girl child gets married early, whether it's the parents or the husband saying that, and even the school rejecting them, there's that stigma. So let's say we can't eradicate this in the next year, do we continue to build a generation that's uneducated, or should we look at the education system and say, all right, let's lobby and say any child that's forced into marriage must still continue with education? Can we not look at it like that? Patricia?
Well, look, I think what happens is this, that a lot of the kids who do fall pregnant when they're young, do have children, eventually do go back to school at some point.
But why should they stop?
Well, because how do you go to school? You got to wear a uniform like everybody else, unfortunately, because that's the standard.
But in other parts of the world, it's happening. In England, in America, some schools allow it.
Yeah, but the thing is, do we copy what's happening in England, or do we do what works for us here?
But
now it depends what we project as society.
But also, Ruveneko, what you've got to remember is when you're pregnant, your physiology, your everything about you changes. So your level of concentration in the classroom is different from someone who's not pregnant, because you're carrying somebody else. And so we need to take that into consideration. And so what's happening is I don't think there will be a good idea for because when you're a kid, you're a kid.
Right.
You've got to be given the opportunity to grow. And I was just listening to the question you asked earlier on, kuna Mai Charamba guti this mwananga chiti inini awakaya studio kataura naye agati nini I'm fine. But she's fine because she's thinking like 17 years old.
She's a child.
Because if she's 30 or 40, she won't say
the same thing.
She won't say that.
Yeah. So patience. We're going to have to wrap up now, so I'm going to get the last comment from you and maybe Alexio.
And I'd like also, let me just finish, because it's been an interesting debate. What's really important for us and for World Education Incorporated Bantwana, working with our partners, is that would like anyone out there who has been violated or who wants to get help to contact us. And I'm going to give you this WhatsApp number.
Please, so, yeah.
0774 293 723 or 774 293 723. we've got different partners who are working with young girls, and they can give counseling, they can give psychosocial support, and all sorts of help. So please do call up us on this number, and we can chat and help each other.
All right, patients, or Mr. Maybe Alexio, we haven't heard from you in a bit. Maybe you can wrap up for us, because we really are out of time.
Sure. I think like about the school thing that you're talking about. I would agree with Patricia. Kuti vana, when we do make decisions, many decisions are atakatoita adiki. Kuti zoni akatotivhiringidza, in the long run, and now we can actually see it. So I think for every child or every girl child or every boy who's listening right now, let's just be responsible and learn from my parents here, because
of others.
Because we only get one chance to live.
It's true. There's a quote, I don't remember the exact words, but it says, life is too short to make your own mistakes, so learn from those of others. Right? And to wrap up here, some comments very solid here on WhatsApp. Ruby, the main reason girls rush into marriage is abusive parenting at home. People accuse, criticize, blame, and put down their children so much that they, the children, see marriage as a way out. If they want to prosecute those who have sex under the age of 18, they must prosecute both. The girls also want the sex, so they are not victims. Prosecute both, not one. They have both broken the law. I see patients is gasping. We'll call you back for another program. And another one here from Mai Maodza and Mutare Ranzi Vabereki. We solve problems with problems. Nekurama mwana kumukomana. I think that's all we have time for tonight. We must wrap up. Thank you very, very much to my panel, Patricia Mabviko Msanu, Mai Charamba, Alexio